Officer who fatally shot Dante Wright resigned. Does President Biden believe that officer should face charges?
I'm not going to weigh in on legal or law enforcement actions. We'll leave that to the courts and law enforcement authorities on the ground.
A state trooper also fatally shot a 16-year-old in Maryland. This is on top of the shooting of Dante Wright. Under the Obama administration, the Justice Department had ramped up investigations of local police departments. Does President Biden plan to reinstate similar pattern and practice investigations to identify civil rights and other abuses in training?
Well, let me say first that all of these incidents that we're seeing, you've mentioned some of them, are just a reminder that too often in this country, law enforcement uses unnecessary force, and too often that results in the death of Black Americans. And the president has repeatedly said that he believes we need police reform, and that's why he's calling on Congress to deliver that.
I've been called out by everybody for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Homer Simpson, Mike Tyson, Vince McMahon, like everybody's going crazy over this thing. I guess they want to see whether or not it's my real hair, which it is. So here's what I'm going to do. Miss Universe and Miss USA, I own it. They're here. They're going to really do a number on me. I'm challenging President Obama, my son Donald, my son Eric. Let's go, ladies. What a mess.
On Russia, the president proposing a summit with Vladimir Putin would suggest that he's looking to de-escalate some tensions there. So does that mean it's unlikely the U.S. is going to enact harsher sanctions on Russia, like sanctioning their sovereign debt?
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of any announcements we have on the consequences that we will invoke on the Russian leaders for the actions they've already taken. No, it does not change. The calculations, the process, the review that has been ongoing, I expect we'll have more to say soon. And certainly the president was clear that there will be consequences, as he has said publicly. Some will be seen and some will be unseen, as we often say, and hopefully we'll have more to share with all of you soon.
For too long, America has been falling back. The rest of the world is closing in and closing in on us fast. I'm asking you not just to support the bill in Congress or a government program. I'm asking you to imagine a world where you and your family can travel coast to coast without a single tank of gas or on board a high-speed train. Imagine being able to connect to high-speed, affordable, reliable internet wherever you live. Imagine a future where we lead the world and tackle the looming threat of climate change and with American jobs and ingenuity. This isn't a hypothetical proposition. This is a plan. It can happen. It's my American Jobs Plan, and you can check it out on my website. This moment in the economy calls for America, not just the private sector, but the public sector, all of us to do our part. This can be a moment that America wins the future. It's going to take every American to get there. So let's do big things. Think big. There's nothing beyond our capacity.
Senator John Cornyn called Joe Biden's tweets unimaginably conventional and said that his comments were largely scripted and questioned whether he was really in charge. Does the White House have any reaction to that?
Well, I can confirm that the President of the United States does not spend his time tweeting conspiracy theories. He spends his time working on behalf of the American people.
It's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
What happened in Minnesota last night. We've spoken to the governor, the mayor, spoken to the authorities there, and I haven't called Dante Wright's family, but our prayers with their family. It's really a tragic thing that happened. But I think we got to wait and see what the investigation shows, and the entire investigation. You all watched, I assume as I did, the film, which is the body cam, which is fairly graphic. The question is, was it an accident? Was it intentional? That remains to be determined by a full-blown investigation. There is absolutely no justification, none, for looting, no justification for violence. You should listen to Dante's mom, who is calling for peace and calm.
Are you single?
I'm technically just a little more than a year old. A bit young to worry about romance.
Quite right.
Look at the smile! Oh God, this is freaking me out.
So, considering restarting some construction on the border wall to plug in holes in gaps of areas where the construction stopped after the president took office?
Well, wall construction remains paused. There is a review underway, taking a look at the funds that had been allocated when the administration took office, as you know, but funds had been diverted from military construction projects and other purposes toward building the wall. That was not something we, of course, supported. There are some components of the wall that had already been allocated, the funding to continue building by Congress, so we're working within what is allowable. But our focus is not, we don't believe the wall is an answer. We have never believed the wall is an answer to addressing the challenges, immigration challenges at the border. That's why we're proposing an investment in smart security at the border.
You're not known to be a humble man, but I wonder.
I think I am actually humble. I think I'm much more humble than you would understand.
Please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his test and makes your mental state an issue for voters?
Well, if he can't figure out the difference between an elephant and a lion, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Every day in America, 316 people are shot, and 106 of them die. Every day in America. Enough. Enough. It's got to stop. Enough thoughts and prayers from Congress. Pass the legislation closing these gun show loopholes. Pass the legislation requiring extensive background checks. Pass the legislation. It's sitting there. Let's move.
At least I've read, a very low-key, very religious. You're a brash New Yorker.
Religious.
Religious?
Religious, yeah, religious. Hey, I won the evangelicals. The evangelicals,
but that doesn't mean
nobody thought, well, I think it means a lot.
Well, guys, I'm looking around for blue moons and flying pigs. I'm actually in total shock. This week, the Washington Post actually fact-checked Joe Biden. The Washington Post, right? The Jeff Bezos-owned Amazon Washington Post. The vehicle of left-wing craziness across the country for years, actually fact-checked Joe Biden. This week, the Amazon Washington Post gave Joe Biden 4 Pinocchios. On their scale, I believe that's as bad as it gets in terms of falsehood and pushing false ideology when Joe Biden was talking about what's actually going on in Georgia and the Georgia voting laws.
Today, I'm announcing several initial steps my administration is taking to curb this epidemic of gun violence. Much more need to be done, but the first, I want to rein in the proliferation of so-called ghost guns. These are guns that are homemade, built from a kit, that include directions on how to finish the firearm. You can go buy the kit. They have no serial numbers, so when they show up at a crime scene, they can't be traced. We also have to ask the Justice Department to release a new annual report. This report will better help policymakers address firearms trafficking as it is today, not what it was yesterday. The third change, we want to treat pistols modified with stabilizing braces with the seriousness they deserve. These laws allow a police or family member to petition a court in their jurisdiction and say, I want you to temporarily remove from the following people any firearm they may possess because they're a danger in a crisis. They're presenting a danger to themselves and to others. And the court makes a ruling.
Mr. President, after the presentation we just saw about the heat and the humidity, is it dangerous for you to make people think they would be safe by going outside in the heat? considering that so many people are dying in Florida, considering that this virus has had an outbreak in Singapore, places that are hot and are humid.
Here we go. The new headline is Trump asks people to go outside. That's dangerous. Here we go. Same old group. You ready? I hope people enjoy the sun, and if it has an impact, that's great.
Respectfully, sir, you're the president, and people tuning into these briefings, they want to get information and guidance and want to know what to do. They're not looking for rumors.
Phil, I'm the president, and you're fake news. And you know what I'll say to you? I'll say very nicely, I know you well. I know you well, because I know the guy. I see what he writes. He's a total faker. So are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? It's just a suggestion from a brilliant lab by a very, very smart, perhaps brilliant man.
And President Joe Biden has the will and the courage to act. As a United States Senator, Joe Biden took on the gun lobby not once but twice, and he won. In 1993, he worked to pass the Brady Handgun Violation Prevention Act. This law established a background check system and has kept more than 3 million firearms out of the hands of dangerous people. A year later, he worked to pass another law to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines for 10 years. And as Vice President, Joe Biden led the Obama-Biden administration's efforts to reduce gun violence.
Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Says she's lived here her entire life, almost 80 years, been through just about everything.
Ain't no 80 years old.
Well, just about. I'm sorry, Miss Constance. 76 to be exact.
No, 75.
75. Are you coming back to New Orleans and New Orleans East?
Is the elephant heavy? I'm coming back, baby.
Okay, guys, you're not going to believe this one because it involves Vladimir Putin. Apparently, Joe Biden called him a tough guy name, as Joe Biden tends to do without ever backing anything up. So Vladimir Putin called for Joe Biden to debate him on a world stage, live and unscripted. We know that Joe Biden's not capable of doing stuff unscripted. You see how he needs a teleprompter to get through stuff. And even when he's on a teleprompter, he blows it. Even when he's totally teleprompted, he still screws it up almost each and every time. It's truly sick. Very interesting for the people of America and for the people of Russia to see this debate. I kind of agree, except for the fact that it will make America look like fools on a world stage because Joe Biden can't even remember that he's the president of the United States.
It's like, let's talk about this marriage thing and how, I'm not sure that it's really that. And then he got me revved up. And
you guys are out at dinner. You're
we're
like in
at
public
a
space.
dinner supposedly celebrating the fact that he had finished the bar exam. So this was a celebratory dinner. And so
he just brings up it out of nowhere.
He picks a fight. And so I deliver because I, too, am a lawyer, and I have my points to be made. So I was in full making my point, and I was like, in 3, and A, and if you think, and da-da-da-da-da. And by then, dessert was coming out, and the waiter put a platter in front of me with a little box with a ring on it. And in the middle of the argument, I was like, what? And I opened it up. He opened up the box, and he said, now that ought to shut you up. It did. Okay. It did.
Show on Netflix called Tiger King.
Yeah.
And the man who's the star of this is a former zoo owner who's serving a 22-year prison sentence. He's asking you for a pardon, saying he was unfairly convicted. Your son yesterday jokingly said that he was going to advocate for it, and I was wondering if you've seen the show and if you have any thoughts on pardoning Joe Exotic.
Which son? It must be Don. I had a feeling it was Don. Is that what he said? I don't know. I know nothing about it. He has 22 years for what? What did he do?
He allegedly hired someone to murder an animal rights activist, but he said that he didn't do that, and he was.
You think he didn't do it? Are you on his side?
Well,
are you recommending a pardon?
No, I'm not advocating
As a
anything.
reporter, you're not allowed to do that. You'd be criticized by these. Would you recommend a pardon?
I'm not weighing in on time.
I don't think you would. I don't think you would. Go ahead. You have a question? I'll take a look. Is that Joe Exotic? That's Joe Exotic.
These are 3 programs or policies that President Trump and the Trump administration put in place. So would it be fair to say that space policy is one of the few areas where President Biden actually agrees with his predecessor?
I think that sounds accurate to me. Look, I think the president believes that the National Space Council, as you just conveyed or just asked about, provides an opportunity to generate national space policy strategies, synchronize on America's space activities at a time of unprecedented activity. It's also an opportunity to generate by America's own activities in space. So it certainly is a program, or a council, I should say, he's excited to keep in place, and one I think it's fair to say he agrees with the past administration's maintaining the program.
What do you think is Joe Biden's strongest feature as a competitor in politics?
Well, I would have said experience, but he doesn't really have experience because I don't think he remembers what he did yesterday. So how is that experience? He's been there a long time. He was never known as a smart person.
Pick one good thing. Okay, what is his weakest point?
I can't tell you. I mean, I'm really serious. He's got many. I could talk about weak points all day long. First of all, he's not mentally sharp enough to be president. He's got China. He's got all these countries. Russia. I've been the worst thing that ever happened to Russia. Putin understands that. I get along with Putin, but he understands that. He probably doesn't want me to win, I can tell you right now, except I think he likes me, but I'm sure he doesn't want me to win. China doesn't want me to win, but Biden doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't know he's alive.
I have a COVID question, and just a little while ago, we heard the president appeal again to people to take the coronavirus seriously, saying that too many people are acting as if this fight is over, and it's not. So I'm wondering, why does the president think, or you or the White House or the COVID team, why do you think this message isn't breaking through for some people? Why does he have to keep saying it again and again and again?
Well, we have always anticipated that there would be ups and downs, and that's why the president, the vice president, and all of us have continued to reiterate that we are at war with the virus, that we need to be vigilant, and that's a message you've heard from him and members of our health team throughout the past several months, even when people were feeling more and more confident out in the American public. We don't view the observation of public health guidelines as a political step. We view it as a step that helps save lives.
And this guy falls down 3 times. He couldn't get up. The 3rd time, he didn't know where the hell he was. And it was not on the evening news, other than a couple of networks. Yep. But it wasn't on ABC, CBS, NBC, I don't think. And it got almost no coverage. It's incredible. Now, everybody got to see it because one thing, it gets out there one way or the other. But it was actually a pretty sad situation, if you want to know the truth. It was also sad from the standpoint that we don't have freedom of the press anymore. Twitter has gotten very boring, because I can see Twitter anytime.
Because you're gone. They missed you.
Well, it's said to have gotten very boring, and a lot of people are leaving Twitter. But it's become boring and really not. The point of view is terrible. And people are leaving Twitter. A lot of people are leaving Twitter. So I think there's room for something, and I bring a lot of people with me. But we'll see. I must tell you, I love what we're doing now. I'll put a statement or 2 out, or 3 or 5, but I'll do them in a day. And I'll just dictate something out, write it out, put it out, and I do it in the form of a press release. It gets picked up by everybody.
So maybe we don't even need social media. You're gonna go this route,
I don't
perhaps.
think we do, and I may be wrong, but I don't think we do. But I think social media has become so corrupt that people aren't believing it anymore, really. I mean, a lot of it has become very corrupt. It's really become like the media itself, very corrupt.
That's true.
Before I start, I hope you all have a good weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Well, good morning. This morning we've learned that our economy created 900,000 jobs in March. It means the first 2 months of our administration has seen more new jobs created than the first 2 months in any administration in history. but we still have a long way to go to get our economy back on track after the worst economic and job crisis in nearly a century. But my message to the American people is this: help is here, opportunity is coming, and at long last there's hope for so many families. Credit for this progress belongs not to me but to the American people. Hard-working women and men who have struggled through this pandemic, never given up.
At approximately 1:02 hours this afternoon, a suspect entered what we refer to as the north barricade of the Capitol. The suspect rammed his car into two of our officers and then hit the north barricade barrier. At such time, the suspect exited the vehicle with a knife in hand. Our officers then engaged that suspect. He did not respond to verbal commands. The suspect did start lunging toward U.S. Capitol Police officers, at which time U.S. Capitol Police officers fired upon the suspect. One of our officers has succumbed to his injuries.